And depending on your programs, depending on your beliefs, you either think, oh my God, they're looking at me because I look stunning, or you think, oh my God, they're looking at me because I have something in my teeth. All because of your internal coding. I did not always look like this, okay? I did not always feel like this. I did not always have this confidence. I was mute, afraid to speak. I had acne. I was inflamed. I was 30 pounds over what I am now. I am telling you this because I know you can change. If you want to actually have the glow up, stop trying to buy all these expensive skincare products. Stop trying to find a new workout routine, right? Like, it's not about that. You need to do the internal work that it actually takes to have the glow up, okay? What you are not changing, you are choosing. Nothing about your personality, nothing about your life is fixed. You can change it. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the It Girl Mindset. Today, we're diving into the science behind the glow up. I'm really excited to talk about this because you know me, I'm so woo-woo, but I'm woo-woo for a reason. I have spent so much time researching neuroscience and how manifestation actually works and why the internal work actually changes your external reality. And so this just ties right in with that. You know, when you see those girls that they just have that it girl energy and you're just like, wow, what is it about them? Yes, sometimes it can be physical, but most of it is energetic, right? Glow ups are not just about an aesthetic change. What actually comes first is the internal work. A glow up is essentially a full system upgrade. It's not a 10-step skincare routine. It has nothing to do with drinking green juice or going to Pilates. And truly, most people try to glow up from the outside in, but science actually says it works the opposite. Your energy, your body, your mind, none of that is separate. They're really just one interconnected system. It's so interesting. I look back at old photos of me when I was in college, when I was so horrible and negative and mean to myself. I was talking to myself like I was my own worst enemy, and you can just see it on my face. The tiredness, the defeatedness. Is that even a word? The defeatedness? I just look so defeated and so uncomfortable in my own skin. And again, when I lost weight, I had this new internal confidence. And if you are not new here, you know I did not lose weight after trying for years and years and years until I actually started doing the inner work and the mindset work. But that's a whole other tangent that I don't want to get into. What I want you to take from this is we're diving into the science of the glow up. Mind, body, energy, all of it, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome to the It Girl Mindset, where I help you step into the next level version of yourself by mastering your mindset, manifesting your deepest desires, and connecting deeply with your body. It's about becoming the most authentic, radiant, unapologetic, and unbothered version of yourself. Together, we're going to chat about how to unlock your true potential and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're ready to become the healthiest, hottest, and most abundant version of yourself, you're in the perfect place. Let's get into it. Okay, my loves, before we get into the actual episode, I actually have a very, very exciting announcement. I'm giving away $10,000 worth of coaching scholarships to my private mentorship, The Code. I'm doing this because I feel like summer is the time that everyone wants to slow down and they're like, yeah, I'll just wait until next year, right? You're kind of at this slump where you're like, I just want to enjoy myself. I'm not where I want to be, so I might as well just wait till next year. But I want to reward those of you who are ready to lock the fuck in right now, okay? We're not waiting till next year. We're not waiting till fall. No, we're starting right now, okay? So The Code, again, is my private mentorship where we're doing the internal work to see the external results. I would never sign up for a mindset course. I'm just going to be honest. My whole life, I have studied and researched and done the internal work to see the external results, right? Yes, I want you to feel confident in your body, but I also want you to actually look hot. I want you to lose the weight that you want. I want you to have the dream body. I want you to be in the best shape of your life. Yes, I want you to feel safe with money. I want you to know what's coming in, what's going out. But I also want you to increase your income. Maybe that's starting a side hustle, getting a promotion, whatever it may be, okay? Yes, I want you to be so insanely successful, but the success that you actually truly desire. If you don't want to be a CEO of a company, I don't want that for you. And if you continue to think that you want that, you're just going to constantly disappoint yourself, okay? You need to find the success that is truly meant for you and what's in your true desires. I also want you to go on vacation and completely detach. I want you to detach on your weekends. I want you to detach when you're spending time with your kids so you can be present where you are, okay? Hot, rich, and successful is the deepest thing that you can do for yourself and the most freedom you will see in your freaking life if you actually focus on these things, okay? I want to talk about one of my clients so you can expect to see these kind of results, okay? So first off, she came to me at one of the hardest moments in her life. She was really struggling with something that happened in her family that I'm not going to share, but it was really deep and she was dealing with so much grief and she didn't know what to do with it. But she still, all through that, she wanted to lose weight. She wanted to change her job. And so we really did the internal and external work that it actually took to get there. First off, she lost the weight and truly felt the confidence in her body. She also healed her relationship with food. Even as an example, she used to think that ground beef hurt her stomach. And then we talked about it and got to the root cause. After we healed that, she ate ground beef and her stomach felt fine. I remember literally the next day she ate ground beef and was like, holy shit, actually my stomach doesn't hurt. She also ended up switching jobs, got a promotion, moved and bought her dream home with the love of her life, fiance, which is her now husband. It's just so cool to see how her life has truly transformed by doing the internal work. I want that for you too. And that's exactly why, again, I'm giving away $10,000 worth of free coaching. So it's going to be one full ride scholarship and then a few partial scholarships as well. Okay, my love. If you want to apply, the link is down in the show notes below. I cannot wait to read through your application, and applications close July 24th on Friday. There are no late exceptions, so make sure you go ahead and apply and give me your most honest, authentic answers, okay? Anyways, let's go ahead and get back into the show. So part one, we are diving into the science of energy. So I feel like frequency and energy gets this like woo-woo, is this actually real? But you actually are literally emitting a frequency. The heart generates an electromagnetic field detectable up to 3 feet away. There are actual studies on this, okay? That means that people actually feel you before they see you. And I know you felt this before, right? Sometimes you are about to walk into a room and all of a sudden you feel like people are staring at you. And depending on your programs, depending on your beliefs, you either think, oh my God, they're looking at me because I look stunning, or you think, oh my God, they're looking at me because I have something in my teeth, right? Okay, and again, it's all because of your internal coding. That's what determines whether you're like, oh shit, they're looking at me because they think I'm hot, or they're looking at me because, oh my gosh, like maybe I have like sweat stains or whatever. That's what I found the most interesting about doing the internal work is, again, I used to walk into a grocery store and I used to think, oh my God, people are staring at me because they think I'm fat. Oh my God, people are staring at me because I probably have pit stains. Oh my gosh, there's probably something on my shirt, right? But now I walk into the grocery store and if people look at me, I'm like, oh, they must just be feeling my energy. Maybe they think I'm cute, like whatever it may be. But do you see how depending, like the exact same situation is happening, but the way your internal coding is programmed depends on how you actually think and feel about the situation and in turn act about the situation, okay? But the reason that this is even a thing is tonality, pace, and presence communicate more than actual words, okay? So studies show 93% of communication impact is nonverbal, so tone and body language. That's why energy is so real. I always think about this. I think about this with content a lot, right? Because there could be a girl saying the exact same thing as you, the exact same thing. She could be saying, hey, buy my app. One girl could be super confident in herself. You could tell by the tone of her voice. You can tell by the way she's sitting or standing. The girl who is confident and embodied and magnetic and present in that moment is probably going to get people to buy the thing way more than someone who is monotone, like hunching over. Their tone of voice sounds a little bit shaky. Do you see how each of these things, your tonality, your pace, your presence, everything actually dictates what happens in your life? A dysregulated nervous system also can show up in your voice, right? Like either you're shaking because you're kind of like nervous and anxious, or maybe you're rushing through something because again, you're dysregulated in that fight or flight response. You're kind of just trying to get it out as quickly as possible, or you're quiet, right? It's so crazy. I feel like every time I think about all these different states, I think about all these different points in my life where I flash back to, right? Because if you're new here, I used to be completely shy and I would just go quiet. If I had to say anything, I would be literally shaking. There is this time, I get back to this moment a lot in my subconscious reprogramming. So it was this field trip and my mom was there as well. I want to say I was like 7, and it was in this forest and we had to go around and say, hi, my name is insert name, and then like an animal or an insect that also started with your name. I was hiding behind my mom. I was like, no, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. And my mom literally had to speak for me and was like, hi, this is Ashley, and she's an aunt, right? I think back to that little girl and how painfully shy she was, and I just am so proud of her. And so again, I always like to share my stories with you because I wasn't just born like a confident person who loved her body and loved herself and wanted to speak to the world, right? I was not born like that. And I really want to emphasize this because if you feel like you're shy or you're anxious or you're quiet and you have really massive goals and things in your brain and you know that you're actually meant for big things, but you feel really scared and you're like, there's no way I could actually transform that much, right? You can, because I have. You can, because my clients have, right? It's not out of the ordinary. And yeah, I was quiet when I was really, really young, but that quiet carried me all the way up until high school. A third of my life, I was insanely quiet, and I didn't even actually have true confidence. I used alcohol as a confidence booster, which, newsflash, doesn't work. And I wasn't actually my most confident, authentic self until I started doing the internal work like 5 years ago. So you can change. Whatever you are not changing, it is a choice. And I want to be very honest about that because you can change, right? I did. My clients change. You can change. What you are not changing, you are choosing. Nothing about your personality, nothing about your life is fixed. You can change it. Okay, so now talking about the nervous system a bit more. Nervous system regulation is a glow up skill, and this is not one that I learned until a couple years ago. And when I tell you, I look so different from dysregulated Ashley to regulated Ashley. When I was dysregulated, I was super puffy and inflamed. I had acne. Even my body just looked puffy and I just looked uncomfortable and stiff. Now my skin is clear. I have my dream body. I truly just look like me, is the best way that I can describe it. Okay, so we've got ventral vagal state, which is safety and openness, which is the regulated piece. So when you are regulated, you are magnetic, you're warm, you have this confident presence. Then dorsal vagal, which is shut down, or sympathetic, which is fight or flight, kind of similar but different energies. People will unconsciously pull away from that energy. When you are regulated, you have this energy about yourself that is open and magnetic. That's what magnetic is. Magnetic is not just this woo-woo thing. It's actually about the energy that your body is giving off, and that's your nervous system, right? That's your presence, that's your tonality. But see how your tonality, pace, and presence, actually the root of that is your nervous system, okay? And your beliefs, okay? The most magnetic people in the room are the most regulated people, okay? I also want to quickly mention mirror neurons is what they're called. This just basically means that people's brains literally sync to your energy when you walk in. So again, mirror neurons are basically your brain just copies what it sees. Essentially, your energy is syncing to other people's. So if you walk into a room calm, present, and there, those other people can actually feel that. They're not reading your mind. Their brains are just literally mirroring your state back at them. Part number 2, we're going to dive into the science of the physical body. How you carry yourself changes your brain chemistry, not just your appearance. I think about this all the time with how you dress impacts everything in your life. And even you guys, okay, you always see me dressed up here on the It Girl Mindset because I put myself together. There was a period of time where it was the only thing I was getting ready for. And the rest of the time I was in sweatpants, messy hair, no makeup. So once a week I was getting dressed, and the rest I was like looking like a hobo. The thing about this is it changes your energy. When you're in sweatpants, you want to hide, you don't want to do anything, you don't have the confidence. But when you're actually dressed and put together, you actually feel different. That's why I always talk about your wardrobe is a manifestation portal, because how you dress determines how you feel, and how you feel dictates what you actually become an energetic match to and what actually shows up in your life. I'm sure you've heard of power posing, where you just have your arms on your hips and you kind of like lift your chin up slightly. What's really interesting about this is your body can affect your hormones. Expansive posture like the power posing can actually increase testosterone and decrease cortisol. It's just insane. Like, you can actually shift your hormones by how you hold your body. Mind blowing. The mind and body and energy, it's all connected. So in terms of actually glowing up, like your skin, hair, and again, that glow are really related to your hormones and inflammation. Again, when I had a dysregulated nervous system, my body was inflamed. Again, I was puffy, I was oily, I had acne all over my face. Your internal body and state is impacting what you actually look like on the outside, okay? So cortisol, which comes from chronic stress, breaks down collagen, disrupts sleep, and then can spike breakouts. When you lower your stress and regulate your nervous system, it's a literal skincare routine from the inside out. Sleep is the most underrated glow-up tool, okay? Cellular repair, collagen production, and fat metabolism all peak during sleep. Beauty sleep is biochemically real. Think about it. When you go to sleep and you sleep like shit, you wake up and you look at yourself and you're like puffy and inflamed, and you just can almost feel your own energy. But when you sleep like a freaking king and all of a sudden you wake up with the most energy, you almost can feel, again, that glow within yourself. You feel amazing, which means you look amazing, okay? So do not sleep on sleep. Sleep is a non-negotiable, right? It starts with your routines, but sleep is essential. And again, it's not just a feel good, it's an actual glow up hack, okay? So movement and exercise actually changes your brain first and your body second. When you exercise, there is this chemical called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, okay? It's essentially a miracle grow for your brain. Your mood, confidence, and motivation all shift with consistent movement before physical changes are even visible. When you exercise, you're not just making your body look good, you're actually changing your brain. So BDNF, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, actually grows new brain cells and also strengthens the ones that you already have, okay? Again, the mind and body are one. They are connected. I'm telling you all the science behind this because I truly want you to understand, if you're on the fence a little bit about like subconscious reprogramming and, neuroscience and woo-woo and energy, right? No, this is all connected, which is why when we're talking about the body, I take a mind approach. But you also need to take a body approach for the mind, okay? It's all connected. But mood, confidence, and motivation all shift with consistent movement before physical changes are even visible. Think about it. After you actually get a good workout in, you're kind of on this high, right? Those endorphins are released. I know, especially after pole dancing for me, like I am on one. I'm so hyped on life. I feel like I'm literally just high on life and excited about everything. And again, that's for a reason. That's not random or a coincidence. It's because of BDNF and endorphins. Even, that's why, like, if you're stressed about something and you're like freaking out and having a panic attack, you go for a walk and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm healed. My life is fine. It's because of these brain-derived neurotropic factor, okay? Now, just a quick note on the gut-skin-brain axis, okay? What you eat actually shows up not only physically, but in your mood, okay? In your mood, again, your presence, all of that affects what you actually look like in your energetic state, okay? That's why I am a massive believer in eating 99% whole foods. Everyone wants to pull the 80-20 shit, and I'm just not into that. Do you only want to feel good 80% of the time? No, I don't I don't. I want to feel good 110% of the time, which is why I am always eating whole foods. And don't get me wrong, like the foods that I eat taste fucking amazing and they're delicious, but I'm leaning into whole foods 99% of the time, okay? No 80-20 shit, which is why what you eat directly impacts not only your physical body, but your mood, which is your energetic state, okay? The last part we're going to talk about with the full science behind the glow up is the science of the mind. So your self-image is a psychological set point. Your brain will always return to it unless you interrupt the pattern. Okay. The brain is kind of like a thermostat where whatever you actually believe is what's going to come into your life. Whatever you believe at a subconscious level, it's what's actually going to come into your life. Okay. That's why if you've tried to say affirmations, you're like, I'm a millionaire, and it's not working yet. And you're like, what the heck? Like you said, no, you have to change at a subconscious level. And that is under your consciousness. So that's why even if you say I'm a millionaire and maybe you get a little excited and you start to, okay, I'm a millionaire. I'm going to post about my side hustle. I'm going to sell myself. I'm going to sell my product. And then all of a sudden you do that for a week and you default back. That's because your brain is like a thermostat. It will always default back to what is regular and what is normal, which is essentially what you subconsciously believe. Neuroplasticity shows that your brain is not fixed. You can be rewired and recoded at any age, okay? Every new thought pattern you rehearse builds a new neural pathway. I always think of neural pathways like a hiking trail. The first person to ever go on a mountain and start hiking, they probably had to like step over branches and like move big trees and like cut through things. But over time, that path started to get deeper and deeper and more ingrained. And that's exactly what happens with your brain. So if you say I'm a millionaire one time, do you think subconsciously you're actually going to believe that? Absolutely not. But if you start to actually say it over and over and over again, that's going to actually change your action. It's going to change your energy and in turn what actually happens in your life, okay? You're building and deepening those neural pathways to actually believe that that's what it is and that's what's real. So repetition is the mechanism, right? So again, affirmations are fucking amazing and I love them. But if you say, okay, I have my dream body one time, again, that's not deep enough for your brain. You have to say it over and over and over again. And as you start to actually believe it and embed it in your subconscious, you will show up differently. And in turn, what actually happens to your physical body will actually change. So now I want to touch on the reticular activating system because your brain filters reality based on what you tell it to look for. That's why affirmations are also so powerful because if you say, I have my dream body, your brain is going to start finding evidence that that is true. Okay, maybe it'll start to pick up on the smaller wins. The best example and easiest way to think about your reticular activating system is, let's just say you're in the market for a new car. I have a 4Runner, so we'll just use that as an example. You're like, okay, maybe I'll look at like Toyota 4Runners, a white Toyota 4Runner, which again, I have. But all of a sudden, you start to see them everywhere. All of a sudden, every single drive, you see like 5 white 4Runners, and you're like, what the heck? That's so odd. That's because your reticular activating system. You tell your brain what to focus on, which is why the more you use affirmations and change your neural pathways, the easier it is to actually see the opportunities, right? Because since your brain is taking on so much information, million bits of information every single second, right? Even in my office right now, I am not consciously seeing everything, okay? Yeah, I've got my light there. I've got my candle. I've got my couch, I've got the headphones back there, but like as I'm speaking to you, all of that is blocked out because it's not important to me right now. It's not necessary. My brain doesn't need to actually take that in. So that's why we have a subconscious, because they've taken all that information, but it's not necessary for me to actually be looking at all those things right now, right? So that's why affirmations, again, in your reticular activating system is so powerful, because you tell your brain what to focus on. If you are like, okay, I want to start a new side hustle, right? And you start to open your mind to it, all of a sudden you'll probably see something that you didn't notice before. Wow, there's this really cute coffee shop that I didn't even know was there. Ooh, maybe I'll make pottery and sell it to them, right? Like, that's a random example, but when you start to focus on what you want and not what you don't want, you're essentially training your brain. You're essentially training your brain to look for those things. That's why we talk a lot about money. We talk a lot about success. We talk a lot about the body, okay? Or maybe if you are really wanting to, Find a way of movement that you actually love so you can in turn reach your dream body. Maybe there's been a Pilates studio down the street from your house, but because you never opened up your mind to that, you walked past it every single day not even knowing it was there. Okay? Again, that's the power. A lot of times opportunities are there, but if you are ignoring it and you're not allowing yourself to actually see that, you're going to just walk right by it and not even know it's there. So with your reticular activating system, when you decide you're that girl, the hot, rich, successful girl, right? Your brain will actually start to find evidence to confirm that. That's why if you're like, oh, like I'm ugly, and I can say this because I thought that about myself for a very long time, you will find evidence to confirm that you are right. Okay? But if you tell yourself, I have my dream body, I'm glowing, you're going to start to actually find evidence that you are right. Your identity needs to actually shift before your behavior sticks. You cannot out-action a self-concept that hasn't changed, okay? Again, if you don't believe that you're worthy of having your dream body, you're never going to actually show up and stay consistent because you don't believe that you're worthy of that, okay? The brain is essentially protecting what it believes is you, which is why change can feel threatening. Anything that doesn't align with who you believe that you are feels threatening, right? To your brain, it's the unknown, it's change, it's not safe, which is why you have to go back, change your identity at a subconscious level, okay? Your subconscious mind runs 95% of your behavior, okay? Subconscious means that you are not aware of it, okay? Your conscious mind is 5%. That's why, again, I love to use the body as an example. Or let's use money as an example. If you say, I want to be a millionaire, that's a very real part of you. But if 95% of your behavior and your beliefs do not align with that, you are going to default to what your subconscious believes. So maybe you start posting about your side hustle or you want a promotion, but you don't actually start taking the action that it takes to actually get there. So to change your subconscious, 1, apply to the code, especially because I have a scholarship going on right now that's going to expire soon. 2, recode your limiting beliefs, right? Use visualization, use emotion. It's the fastest way to truly install a new belief. And that's exactly what I work on with my one-to-one clients. We're going to the root, we're going to the subconscious so things actually change. Not only internally so you feel fucking amazing, but also your energy changes, your body changes. You become magnetic to the things that you truly want by changing your inner world, okay? You guys could probably scroll back on my Instagram and see that I did not always look like this, okay? I did not always feel like this. I did not always have this confidence. I was mute, afraid to speak. I had acne. I was inflamed. I was 30 pounds over what I am now. I am telling you this because I know you can change. If you want to actually have the glow up, stop trying to buy all these expensive skincare products. Stop trying to find a new workout routine, right? Like it's not about that. You need to do the internal work that it actually takes to have the glow up, okay? And like I said, you will always default to what you truly believe. So change your subconscious beliefs and see how your body changes, your energy changes, your mind changes, okay? And see how quickly you actually start to glow up, okay? Okay, my loves, that wraps up this episode. Real glow-ups are not 10-step morning routines or a different workout plan, right? It's nervous system, it's your identity, it's your beliefs, and it's your body all upgrading simultaneously, okay? When all three align, your energy, your body, your mind, the shift truly becomes so visible without effort. Not because you're not putting in the work, but because it's so ingrained in your identity that you believe it's who you are and it's just how you show up, okay? You don't need to curate magnetism, okay? You just need to let go of all your limiting beliefs and recode your subconscious to truly be exactly who you're meant to be, okay? And again, lastly, make sure you are applying to the scholarship, okay, my loves? There will be no late submissions. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram at AshleyRobots. If not, apply and I will be reaching out to everyone, okay? And again, even if you don't get picked for the full ride scholarship, I'm giving away a few partial scholarships as well. Okay, my loves, I can't wait to read through your applications. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to be on your screen or in your ear again. I love you guys so much. See you in the next one.